My mother-in-law handed me divorce papers right in front of everyone during my baby shower. On the mic, her daughter was announcing that I would now end up on the street. But I didn't cry. Instead, with a smile on my face, I took the hand of my new billionaire husband. The Iowa winter was as ruthless as a cold heart. Even in the month of May, the frozen ice outside a cheap banquet hall in Cedar Rapids refused to melt. Inside, my baby shower was underway. A maternity dress draped over my lap, a 7-month-old baby in my womb, and a heavy burden in my heart. A burden only a woman who has seen the poverty hidden behind the glitz of the American Midwest could truly understand. The gas bill, the payments on a beat-up Ford, and health insurance premiums that swallowed half my paycheck every month. I was a cashier at Target, working double shifts just to pay off Caspian's student loans. While he lived luxuriously on credit cards backed by my trust, his mother, Victoria, had come all the way from New Jersey to our cheap apartment just to taunt me. Suddenly, in the middle of opening gifts, Victoria pulled a white envelope from beneath a diaper cake and dropped it into my lap. Divorce papers. The hall's speaker crackled as Caspian's sister, Sloane, took the mic laughing. She said, "Come on, Elora, sign it and get out from under this burden. Now you'll be out on the street barefoot, because this green card and the American dream belong to our brother, not you." Whispers erupted across the hall. The 50 or so locals who had been aggressively piling cheap Olive Garden pasta and budget wine onto their plates were now mere spectators. Caspian stood in a corner, staring at the wallpaper, completely avoiding my gaze. The $50,000 in credit card debt, which he had blown on expensive designer boots and his friends, was entirely tied to my social security number because his own credit score was ruined. Victoria wore that toxic smirk she had hidden for the past 2 years. They thought I would scream, cry, and beg at their feet. After all, what else could a pregnant woman do when she didn't even have next month's rent? But they forgot that I was molded from the very dirt that stays frozen through Iowa's harshest blizzards. I didn't break. I didn't shatter. I picked up the papers, pulled out my cheap Target pen from my pocket, and signed them without shedding a single tear. As I stood up, the heavy doors of the hall swung open. A tall silhouette emerged from the freezing fog outside. Gideon Vance. He wasn't a movie hero, nor did he possess a magic wand. He was a major logistics and Midwest supply chain businessman from the Cedar Rapids area, whose company was now worth billions. But I had known him since the days when he was just a small-time trucking contractor. Long before any thoughts of dating, he used to frequent the Blue Diner where I worked as a part-time waitress. He would drink black coffee, constantly reviewing his hand-drawn logbooks and maps, and I would silently save the last piece of homemade pancake for him. While Caspian was planning to throw me out on the street, Gideon had seen me outside City Hall on a brutally cold day, learned the truth, and decided to give me the respect I deserved. He stepped into the hall, his long overcoat damp with snow, but his eyes held the kind of stillness that could halt a storm. Victoria's laughter caught in her throat. Sloane tried to say something into the mic, but Gideon shot her a single cold, piercing look, and she went dead silent. Gideon walked up to me and gently took my trembling hand into his large, warm grasp. The smile I had buried deep inside now spread across my face. I looked at Caspian, whose face had gone pale with fear because he knew exactly who Gideon Vance was, the very Gideon whose transport company Caspian's small software firm had been desperately emailing for months, begging for a contract. "Congratulations, Caspian," I said softly, my voice calm and measured. "You have freed me from this debt and your lies. These papers will prove to be the biggest loss of your life." Gideon draped his warm coat over my shoulders, and we walked out of the hall. Justice was served, but not overnight. Gideon didn't just sit me on a pile of wealth. He gave me the legal and emotional security I desperately needed. Over the next 6 months, Gideon's corporate lawyers brought all of Caspian's fraud and identity theft cases, the ones he committed using my social security number, before the court. The debts that were supposed to ruin me legally became a noose around Caspian's neck. His bank account was frozen, his firm was blacklisted, and Victoria was forced to evict the apartment that my paycheck used to fund. My son Ronan is in my lap now. We are still in the same city, but I am no longer dependent on shifts at Target. Alongside Gideon, I have resumed my business management diploma at the University of Iowa. On Sundays we go to Noel Park, where I used to sit and cry all alone. There is no fear there anymore. Justice isn't something delivered by a bullet or magic. Justice is when your enemy tries to tear you down, and you use the bricks of that very falling wall to build yourself a palace. I didn't end up on the street. I stood up on my own 2 feet. Meanwhile, Caspian is still paying off the bill for the banquet hall his sister rented just to boast on a microphone.